Baby girl, you know I want you, and I can't do without you. Hey girl, you know I really love you, and I want you to be my girl. Have one last moment with you. Girl, I would do anything. Just one last moment with you. I'll even buy that diamond ring. One last moment with you. Girl, you got me begging on the floor. One last moment with you. You know that I'll be coming back for more. We've won. We've won. We've won. Praise Rastafari, the battle's won. Yeah, we've won. And our work is done. We've won. We've won. Praise Rastafari, the battle's won. November the 4th, 2008 is the date. It's gonna be a great, great day. It's gonna be a great, great day. Yeah, take care of yourselves, cause you got to be there to celebrate. It's gonna be a great, great day. A great, great day. And the souls of our forefathers will be coming over just to see. And our prophet, old Marcus Garvey, shall be the master of ceremony. And the voice of 1,000 children shall sing lustily in the air. When a nation of broken people lift up their hands and say, yeah, we've won. And our work is done. We've won. We've won. Praise Rastafari, the battle's won. Yeah, we've won. And our work is done, yeah. We've won, we've won. Praise Rastafari, the battle's won. We are gonna sing some song and dance some dance. Now we're free. It's gonna be a great, great day. A great, great day. Nobody fight no man. Hey brother, come, come, come. Can't you see? It's gonna be a great, great day. It's gonna be a great, great day. It's that brand new beautiful history for the whole wide world to see. A new mind brings a new foundation. A better liberty for you and me. So put away all your frustrations. Throw all your troubles up in the air. And rally round your brothers and sisters. And lift your heads and say, yeah, we've won. And our work is done, yeah. We've won, we've won. Praise Rastafari, the battle's won. Yeah, we've won. And our work is done. We've won, we've won. Praise Rastafari, the battle's won. Yeah, we've won. Yeah, we've won, we've won. Yeah, Rastafari, the battle's won. Yeah, we've won. And our work is done now. We've won, we've won. Yeah, Rastafari, the battle's won. Yeah,
take it, take it, take it. You know it's all about God tonight, the French shoots, alright. Request for all my ladies. Yo, it's all for my girls, them, you hear me? Begging to keep on the positive way. Whoa, God tonight again. Man will say anything, girl, to get close to you. Oh, I know what I'm saying, girls. I used to do too. Yeah. Treat you like Cinderella, have you stepping out in a glass shoe. Whoa, yes, like you run left your boyfriend, cut and go through. Yeah. Now you wrong and left your boyfriend for your taste of this too. Now you wanted that taste, so him give it to you. Now him get for him blink, so him cut and go through. You wrong and back to your man, him don't want you. Now you sit down there, you puzzle, you don't know what you do. Searching for love, every man got a screw. for you. With a girl, she real bad for you, man. Hey, man will say anything, girls, to get close to you. Ah, yeah. I know what I'm saying, girls. I used to do too. Ah, treat your like Cinderella after stepping out in a glass shoe. Oh, yes, make her run left your boyfriend. Cut and go through. Hey, stay ever clean, ever sweet, never dirty, ever fine. African Nubian queen, your mind. Yes, you're the one who make my love life shine. Oh, you're so clean and so divine. Never step out among you, always stay in line. Never ever make a man come wrap your head like twine. Yes, I'm so fine, I'm glad you mind. You're so divine, girl. Yeah. Man will say anything, girl, to get close to you. Ah, yeah. I know what I'm saying, girl. I used to do too. Oh, yes. Treat you like Cinderella after stepping out in a glass shoe. Whoa, oh, yes. Make you run left your boyfriend. Cut and go through. Girls, watch what you do, big girls. Watch what you are saying. Dirty games in a life, the men them love to play with that. Take what you say and put it in a them way. No business if they mash up your whole family, girl. Watch what you're saying, girls. Watch what you watch. I'm no one, no harm will come on to you. Listen to my words, for what I'm saying is true. Boy, them will say anything, girls, to get close to you. Ah, yeah. I know what I'm saying, girls. I used to do too. Oh, yes. Treat you like Cinderella after stepping out in a glass shoe. Oh, yes. Make you run left your boyfriend. Cut and go through. Ah, yeah. Oh, hey. This one is for my girls. This one is for my ladies. Yeah, begging to keep on the positive way. Hear me, I say. AKA girl and I, yeah. Whoa, yo, them will say anything, girls, to get close to you. Ah, yes, I know what I'm saying, girls. I used to do too. Ah, treat you like Cinderella after stepping out in a glass shoe. Whoa, yes, make you run left your boyfriend. Cut and go through. Ah, now you wrong, I left your boyfriend. Feel your taste of this too. Now you wanted that taste, so him give it to you. Now you get for your taste, so him cut and go through. You run gone back to your man. Him don't want you. Now you sit down there, you puzzle, you don't know what to do. Searching for love, every man get a screw. Man come inquiring things for you. Who that girl? She real bad for true, man. Hey, them say anything, girls, to get close to you. Ah, yes, I know what I'm saying, girls. I used to do too. Hey, treat you like Cinderella after stepping out in a glass shoe. Oh, yes, make you run left your boyfriend. Cut and go through.
I've got a message to teach, and if them don't hear them, all I do. Hey, watch it, then let me pass. Got the night me coming through. Give me way, let me pass. Give me way, give me way, give me room. I've got a message to preach. I've got a message to teach, and if them don't hear them, all I do. First thing first, to all the people with the money have it. Lock up in a bank and have it. Lock up in a treasury. See the people them a suffer and don't want help nobody. Them a kind of thing me gather night me sit down and study. Me wonder if them would take a one day out of the city. Come down in the ghetto and come see the liberty. See how Papa have to go to work and hungry belly. One fried dumpling, 53 beginning. Example, that's how me get to like this. Just sit up in your chair in your eyes and the see the people them a suffer and don't want help nobody. Free up the people them and give them some money. So what did they let me pass? Get the Putrid center, pushing start ignite. Never know, all them do is take an innocent life. Them want running out your house and bust your throat with a knife. But too late, yeah, shall be them cries up. Watch it, they let me pass, yeah, the night me coming through. Give me way, let me pass, give me way, give me way, give me room. I've got a message to preach, I've got a message to teach. And if them don't hear them all, I do. Yeah, liberty, I just say liberty. Give it, I just say give it. Positivity, it burns all negativity. Not to mix up in their lies and their democracy. Don't get caught up in the things they put in front your eyes to see. Look how long Babylon they blind, me never want we know the truth. But Emperor Selassie, but them teach me about them white God and nearly Mary. I'm all with children believing in a fairy. Legalize man and man a church we go marry. That mean them want another man fi ride a man. But Saddam and Gomorrah burn down the city. So watch it, they let me pass. That the night me coming through. Give me way, let me pass. Give me way, give me room. I've got a message to preach, I've got a message to teach. And if them don't hear them all I do. Hey, watch it, they let me pass. Me coming through. Give me way, let me pass. Give me way, give me room. I've got a message to preach, I've got a message to teach. And if them don't hear them all I do.
Alright, check it then. Alright then. I told you, girl. I love you, yeah. But you see sometimes, girl, the things that you do, girl, sometimes makes me so mad, girl. The things that you say, girl, sometimes makes me so sad, girl. I don't wanna lose this love that we have, girl. So come on, let's live up the good life and erase the bad. So love me now, or hate me more. But don't let this love slip through the door, girl. Love me now, or hate me more. 'Cause I don't wanna go through this hurt no more, girl. You say you want a good life, so let's live it up. Just hold it right harder and let's big it up. Coming on a Monday, for you, if you just come pick
Good afternoon, everyone. Could we all stand for the singing of the national anthem, please? Of liberty, in the fires of hope and prayer, with balanced faith in our destiny, we solemnly declare. Side by side we stand, islands of the blue Caribbean Sea, this our native land. We pledge our lives to thee. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation. Let me invite us to remain standing as I invite Bishop John Carrington to offer a word of prayer.
Shall we bow our heads in prayer? Gracious, loving Father and our God who art in heaven, we hallowed your name at this time. We give you all the praise, the glory for being our God, for there is none like you. You created the earth and all that therein is, and you have given man charge over your works. And so, Lord, this group has been formed. It's you, God, who is still in their minds. You erect this place. It is you, God, who placed in their hearts and their mind to form this group so that they can be a part of taking care of your service here on earth. We pray, God, that you would open their minds to your understanding. Give them, oh God, grace and wisdom that they will be able to fulfill their purpose here on earth. Continue to guide their thoughts, guide their minds, and help us, oh God, that we'll be able to be responsible people to take care of what you have lent us, for we are just lent here for a time and a season. So guide and protect us, oh God, and may you instill in them the vision that they will take this group to a higher heights, and may all that we do and say today bring honor and glory to your name. Thank you for blessing us, we pray, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Could have your seat.
Good afternoon. To welcome all of us to the launch of this event, Innovative Water and Wastewater Management Solutions in Charlotteville, which is essentially an initiative of the Crew Plus project. The Crew Plus project is really a derivative of two previous projects that were funded by the GEF in association with UNDP. That one being the Crew project, and just before that, the IWCAM project, integrating watershed and coastal area management, a project that I was associated with since I think it was 2007, from 2007 to 2012. This project is expected to deliver a number of benefits, certainly in the area of sanitation, but also in the area of improving environmental quality, particularly as it relates to water quality in the Charlotteville Bay area. But it's also supposed to deliver better water supply eventually to the people of Charlotteville and environs. So thank you all for coming today and so on. And it will be remiss of me if I don't take the opportunity to especially recognize those who have taken time out to be with us today and who are going to make a sterling contribution to the event that we have today. Let me take the opportunity to recognize Ms. Chief Secretary for the Environment, My good friend in the orange, I think it is burnt orange, they call it, Mrs. Ms. Sherilyn, I forgot your surname now. Miss Sherilyn Solomon. You see, I worked with Sherilyn for over 10 years and I still can't remember her surname. Miss Sherilyn Solomon, who is now the Deputy Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Public Utilities, an agency that has been supporting this different iterations of this project over time. And to my near left, Dr. Shada Mahabia, who is no stranger to us here in Tobago. She has been making contributions in many spheres and so on, but lately she has been with the UNDP and she continues to support environmental conservation in Tobago in support of sustainable development. So welcome all. My good friend Brian I'm not seeing him here, Brian Williams, General Manager for WASA Tobago, but I'm sure that he's probably going to be with us shortly. And of course, members of the media and you ladies and gentlemen, without you, this would not be the success that we are sure it is going to be probably in about an hour's time or so. So without further ado, let me invite to bring some brief remarks to us, Ms. Desiree Francis. Desiree was really a villager of mine, but now she has transferred to Charlotteville. She has been living here for some time. And she's now a member of staff of ERIC under this particular project, and she's the project manager here. So let me invite Desiree just to bring a few remarks to us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Beckers. Yes, I have relocated. I was told this is the nicer part of the island. I must admit it is beautiful. Good afternoon, everyone. Honorable Farley Augustine, Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, Mrs. Sherilyn Solomon, Deputy Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Public Utilities, Assemblyman Natisha Charles Pantin, Secretary for Food Security, Natural Resources, the Environment and Sustainable Development, Dr. Shada Mahebir, National Coordinator, Global Environment Facility and Small Grants Program, members of the Steering Committee of the GEF Crew Plus project, members of the community, the media, other members of the team. Good afternoon. It is my pleasure to be here this afternoon, and it is my role to really give you an insight of what this program is really about. Okay, so the GEF Crew Plus program is a multi-partnership initiative. It's funded by the Global Environment Facility, and it is being co-implemented by the Inter-American Development Bank and the United Nations Environment Program. The program is also co-executed by the German Society for the International Cooperation, GIS, as well as the Secretariat of the Cartagena Convention on behalf of the IDP and the UNEP, respectively. Our local partners include the Ministry of Public Utilities, the Tobago House of Assembly, the Water and Sewerage Authority, as well as the Environmental Management Authority. GEF Crew Plus projects are presently being implemented in 18 different countries throughout the wider Caribbean, as well as the Americas. These include Barbados, Colombia, Costa Rica, Dominica, Grenada, to name a few. The overall aim of these projects is really to implement innovative small-scale solutions using an integrated water and wastewater management approach. The project builds, as Linford would have said, on a number of previous projects by the Caribbean Regional Fund for Wastewater, which was also funded by GEF. So you might ask, why GEF Crew Plus is involved in these type of projects? Simple. Water accessibility and the treatment of wastewater in the Caribbean is a persistent issue. Rarely is there ever 24-hour water supply, so having adequate water storage is a necessity. Also, approximately 80% of our wastewater is released right into the environment without any kind of treatment. I mean, just think about it. Your restaurants, that's a fact, okay? So this is sometimes due to what we might call lack of resources, lack of adequate legislative and regulatory framework, as well as just general treated wastewater in the environment and on human health. GEF Crew Plus offers creative, innovative solutions. All right. This integrated wastewater management strategy used by Crew Plus is based on the 4 R's of the circular economy. That's a pet area of mine. Reduce, reuse, recycle, recover. It's what we should all be aiming for when we use any of our resources, because it really leads to us getting the most of the things that we use, not only water. Okay? So GEF Crew Plus really focuses on 4 components. Institutional strengthening, so that's like building your legislative support systems, looking at reform, creating better standards and initiatives, and even government policies that support that cause. Secondly, getting tailor-made financing options for persons who may need that support in helping them to develop their systems. Component 3, which is the provision of innovative small-scale community-based solutions for communities. But this is always following country-specific studies. So you're not just going to communities and bring solution to them. You're working with them, because everywhere is different. Everywhere have, the unique issues and the unique geography, like Charlotteville, that the solution here may not necessarily work in Canaan. Different terrain, different problems. And the 4th component, we talk about knowledge management. So what we learn here and the experiences that we have gained here, and also the experiences that are gained in the other project, that's expected to be shared. So we would share what we have learned, and they would also share what they have learned with us. That's the expectation of the GEF Crew Plus projects. We, of course, in Charlotteville, we would be focusing, our program specifically focuses on component 3, which is developing an innovative small-scale community-based solution for the problems that we have highlighted before, our challenges with water and the management of wastewater. This village is renowned for its rich culture and heritage. While fishing and tourism are the main private sector economic activity, the village has a port of entry, which today has a cruise ship in port, in bay, many guest houses, restaurants, and beach facilities. It is hoped that this initiative, with its resultant improvement in the coastline, have 2 problems, among others, of course, which is water, as I mentioned before, to some of the persons, some of the areas, especially those people. If you look up the hills, you notice that some people have houses right at the top. You're wondering how they get in there, right? I myself. But also wastewater going into the waterways. So projects like these are a definite necessity in this area if we are to enhance and change our present situation. So the main elements of this project falls under 3 components, 3 categories. Water conservation, which is about water storage and our capacity to have water available to use when we need it. wastewater management, disposing of our wastewater in a responsible way, and community engagement. So on the topic of water conservation, a key element of the project is the distribution of water tanks at a minimal cost, as well as special consideration for the most vulnerable among us, who would, of course, get their tank free installation, free of charge. We are at this time partnering with local NGOs, CBOs, FBOs, and the Department of Social Services to identify the most vulnerable persons who would be the recipients of this particular facility. In addition to the tanks, we would also be distributing low-flow shower heads. These shower heads are designed to utilize less water per shower while not compromising the quality of your bathing experiences, so don't worry about it too much. Additionally, persons would be encouraged actually to put water bottles filled with sand in your toilet tanks so that you use less water when flushing. Yes, try it and tell us. You'd realize that you're using less water, so you're saving on the resources, and yet again, it does not compromise the quality of the, the flush. Under wastewater management, we would be engaging in pumping the septic tanks. You'd be surprised how many persons would tell you that, hey, we haven't pumped this since we... So when you see these people come to you, these are the people that will be visiting your homes. Welcome them. They are here to share. They are here to learn from you, and they are here to engage with you. This is our team. Malaika? One member, 2 members of the team missing. All right. So thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Desiree, for those shortish remarks. I just want to note that, that one of the things that Desiree really spoke about was the nature of the community engagement and so on, and the uniqueness of Charlotteville. And I think that was really key in the design of the engagement process. Because if it's one place I know in Tobago, you cannot go and do exactly what you want, is in Charlotteville, right? The people have to be integrally involved in all of the decisions that will ultimately affect them and stuff, and that is consistent with very, very good governance. At this time, to move the program along, let me invite Alyosha Woodke, the Executive Director of the Environment Research Charlotteville, to bring some brief remarks to us. Alyosha, very brief. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I would like to everybody to know that I'm not very good at protocol, so all protocol is observed. And I would like to invite you on behalf of the staff and the board of ERIC to this event. We are quite proud that we can host this event. We have worked on this project since 2019, and actually together with Shada we started to think about the event since the project since 2015, and I think it's a great opportunity to really showcase Charlotteville as a community that can demonstrate application of household-based solutions to water and wastewater management in the Caribbean, in similar communities in the Caribbean. Normally, interventions on wastewater and freshwater supply are always directed towards larger infrastructural development. However, this is not really applicable for our small communities with 200-300 households. And therefore, we had decided that we would like to tackle these problems through each and every household, assisting households, informing them and assisting them with the tools to improve the water availability as well as to reduce their pollution. This is a typical example for something that can be achieved in a Man in the Biosphere Reserve, which is aimed at sharing experiences, testing new ways how we in the Caribbean can solve issues. And this is why we have decided to go this route and really try to evaluate how can we do this and how can other communities in the Caribbean benefit from this. A second comment I really would like to make that is often forgotten is that, as you know, this project is financed through the United Nations. And I always like to mention that the United Nations are getting their money from the member countries. The member countries get their money from people that pay taxes. So it means that here we are using, in a good way, the money that other people pay somewhere else, and that might be in Trinidad, that might be in Colombia, that might be in Sweden, that might be in the US, it might be in Nigeria, that people pay. And we are the beneficiaries of it, and we are able to use this money to the good, for water and wastewater management. We always have to think about that somebody somewhere is paying taxes for the money that we are using. At the same time, we have to think about that this money that we are using could also be used in other places in the world, and you all are aware of what's happening in the world right now, and could be brought to other good use somewhere else as well. And this is why we have to cherish the resources that we have and really make sure that every cent that is given to us is used in a proper way. Having said this, I'm very thankful that you're here. I'm looking forward to another 5 months of very intense project implementation. This project has been shortened from almost 2 years to 6 months. And for everybody here from Charlotteville, you will hear and see more of us. And for those from outside, thank you for coming, and having your presence here really makes me proud. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you very much, Aloysian, for appealing to our keen sense of responsibility and stewardship, and our gratitude for the sacrifices that other people are making to benefit us. At this time, I'm going to invite Mr. Cottrell Perry. He's an elder. He's described as an elder of the Charlotteville community, to bring some remarks. Now, Mr. Perry is a very interesting man. This man is not getting old at all. Who would believe? Mr. Perry taught me in primary school, right? I didn't go to Charlotteville Methodist and so on, but he taught me through our engagement and so on when we had football and we had cricket and so on. Now, I have gotten gray. He doesn't have one gray on his face, right? So it's very good to welcome you to the podium.
Thank you, Linford. Honorable Farley Augustine, one of my former co-workers, now the Chief Secretary of Tobago. Mrs. Cheryl Ann Solomon, Deputy Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Public Utilities. Assemblyman Natisha Charles Pantin, Secretary of Food Security and Natural Resources and the Environment, and Small Group Programs. Ms. Desiree Francis, Project Manager of Crew in Charlotteville. Mr. Alyosha, as I call him, who is the Director and the CEO of ERIC. Bishop John Carrington, who has left, and Mr. Beckles, Linford Beckles, our Master of Ceremonies. Ladies and gentlemen, I deem it an honor to be recognized as an elder in the community. I may not look that way, as Linford said, but I am almost 80. I deem it an honor to be recognized as an elder in the community and to be asked to say a few things on behalf of the community. You may not believe, but in 1959, the water project in Campbellton was commissioned. It's obvious that at that time, such a project could not meet the needs of every individual in the community. Because at that time, in the heaviest of rainfall, we would have had about 130,000 gallons of water daily coming through those pipelines. But in the dry season, in the heart of the dry season, we'd have had only about 25,000 gallons daily. Imagine that one individual in our country is expected to have about 100 gallons of water to supply his or her needs. Do they matter? But we must remember that the price of progress is always high. So I encourage my fellow villagers to bear the pain, even though we are not having the quality and quantity of water that we should have. I encourage us to raise high. I want to support, and I hope the village will support the initiative that is attempted at present. Some of the things heard this afternoon will sound strange to some of us. Nothing is perfect in this country. And I implore my villagers to remember that we can make it if we try. And I congratulate the team that is going to try to ensure that we have a better water supply. We have a better waste management system. I ask my fellow villagers to support the initiative. We don't know what we are going to have. Our expectations are high, obviously. However, we can make it if we try, but if we try together as a team. So all our water supply in Charlotteville. Thank you.
Thanks very much, sir. See how strong he's talking? He's speaking stronger than me, and so on. But I just want to remind him, the last time we had an encounter, a sporting encounter, competition, I won. I just want to remember that. That's in Louis Don, 1988. So thank you again, Mr. Perry, and so on, for appealing to the community to support. And one of the things that I can always say about Charlotteville is that once you have an initiative that is good, an initiative that is worth supporting, you'll always get the support. And of course, once you continue to consistently engage them throughout, you really have to give them that respect. They deserve that much. I don't think Mr. Williams is here. Brian is not here. So I'm going to use my prerogative as the chairman to skip Brian and invite Dr. Shada Mahabir, the national coordinator of the GEF, the Global Environment Facility Small Grants Program, to bring some remarks to us.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The Honorable Fali Augustin, Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly and Area Representative, Mrs. Cheryl Ann Solomon, Deputy Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Public Utilities, Assemblyman Natisha Charles Pantin, Secretary of Food Security, National Resources, the Environment and Sustainable Development, Aloysia Watsky, Director of ERIC, specially invited guests, thank you very much for having me this afternoon. On October the 28th, 2020, history was made when UNESCO announced that the northeast of Tobago was designated as Man in the Biosphere. Many read this wonderful news with awe and hesitation, mostly because they didn't understand what this means. According to the MBAB website, Man in the Biosphere website, Biosphere reserves are learning spaces for sustainable development. They are places that provide local solutions to global challenges. Each site promoting solutions, reconciling the conservation of biodiversity with its sustainable use. In other words, Northeast Tobago is now internationally recognized as a location where people maintain the environment and derive a living from it without harming it. So it's about harmony. Northeast Tobago is now a world-recognized example of understanding and implementing interdisciplinary approaches to understanding and managing challenges and interactions between social and ecological systems, including conflict prevention and management of biodiversity. Now, there are many current examples of man and the biosphere within Northeast Tobago, and one of the most popular is Castara. Nestled on the coastline out overlooking the sea, this picturesque touristic village has implemented measures to become greener. In 2016, with support from funding from the GEF Small Grants Program, Castara was able to implement a project to reduce community solid and liquid waste entering the Castara Bay, which has its own reef. During the 2-year project, the community was able to open the country's first eco-sustainability shop, which provided environmentally friendly alternatives to harsh detergents and plastic packaging. Now listen to what happened. The eco-sustainability shop was not launched in Trinidad first, but in Tobago, and it set an example for the country. That project was able to replace 20,535 plastic items, including styrofoam, and 278 liters of harsh detergents with more eco-friendly substitutes, which 15 local guest houses adopted. This community continues to work towards reducing their environmental footprint to safeguard their natural attractions, which draw many tourists. But another example of man and the biosphere is actually where we are, which is Charlotteville. And like Astara, this village also overlooks beautiful bays, Charlotte Bay, Pirates Bay, Charlotteville Bay, Pirates Bay, which are also tourist attractions. The villagers are working diligently to reduce their pollution, and Desiree spoke of the Crew Plus project aiming to address the use of harsh detergents within the Charlotteville area. And they're doing all of this work to also be able to control the pollution to their reef. The village is home to Eric, which many of you all are familiar with, who has conducted reef and forest checks in the area. And Eric remains the main contributor for reef check information for Tobago internationally. This project, soon the village will benefit from water and conservation mechanisms and strategies, which Desiree Francis spoke about, which will assist with conservation at the household level and which will increase the efficiency of water consumption, thereby addressing the water shortage in this community. And I'll be very honest with you, I believe I met Mr. Perry about 4 years ago when I came to do a consultation for Adopt a River program, and we spoke extensively about the issues and the passion of the Charlotteville people for addressing their water concerns. Crew Plus, through and in partnership with the Ministry of Public Utilities, is an important project since it will assist the village directly in addressing the water supply issues whilst reducing their pollution to its marine system, thereby continuing the touristic attractions and facilitating the conservation of the beauty of the bays and the reef. Both villages are examples of man and the biosphere. Both villages are testament of the importance of partnerships and the support for implementing real on-the-ground solutions to human issues which conserve the environment and safeguard its people. They are also testament of how different initiatives such as Crew Plus and GEF SGP, UNDP, etc., how these initiatives contribute towards the realization and the management of the Man in the Biosphere designation for Northeast Tobago. So the question to ask is, why is Crew Plus and the Man in the Biosphere so important to Tobago? Firstly, they both highlight Tobago on the international map. Secondly, they both boost sustainable tourism, green tourism for the island. And thirdly, they encourage communities to live in tandem, live in harmony with their environment. Important for the whole island and should be tied to all parts of its governance structure. These two initiatives will bring opportunities for communities and youth development, will bring research and education opportunities to Northeast Tobago, offer opportunities for the lessons learned for Northeast Tobago to be available via technology through their website, will bring in additional income for tourism, research, and increased trade. It will address natural resource conservation for sustainable development, will expand opportunities for health through healthy food production and wellness and social protection, as well as provide examples of environmentally conscious urban development, and will expand tourism and cultural offerings for Tobago's Green Tourism Thrust. And if anybody wasn't aware, I just basically called out every single mandate of every single division within the THA. In so saying, the Crew Plus and the Man in the Biosphere are therefore directly aligned to the work of the THA, and as such, each division should maximize on the opportunities. Maximize on the opportunities. We could take this example and sell it for tourism, we could sell it for infrastructure, we could sell it in so many different ways. Let us now adapt the Charlotteville Crew Plus Man in the Biosphere example for the rest of the island using all of the divisions that are available. Trinidadians, I know Tobagonians are extremely proud, but Trinidadians, you need to be proud of this example as well. You need to be proud of this designation since it has put our country on the map for yet another positive reason, and that is the most important thing. On behalf of Mr. Geraldo Noto, resident representative of the UNDP, Trinidad and Tobago, Aruba, Curacao, and St. Martin, who regrettably could not attend today, I would like to reaffirm the GEF SGP and the UNDP's commitment to supporting the realization of important environmental, economic, and social priorities for Trinidad, but especially for Tobago. Thank you very much.
Thank you most kindly, Dr. Mahabir. Towards the end of your remarks, and so on, I would have sworn that you were an employee of the tourism department here in THA. So we really thank you for selling Tobago. After all, you are a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, so you have a vested interest there. But in addition to that, let me thank you and the UNDP for always supporting our environmental initiatives here in Tobago and so on. It could not be a success without you. And as you highlighted, this initiative borrows from some successes in Castara, definitely, and so on. And that is what it's really about sharing positive experiences. And quite soon, Castara is going to benefit from some initiatives that we started here in Charlotteville, particularly the initiatives to install the mooring buoys and so on, which is going to ultimately result in better nearshore coastal water quality for all of us here in Charlotteville initially, and then we're going to do some stuff in Castara. So thank you very much. Thank you to the UNDP for always being supportive of us here in Tobago. And at this time, we are going to be treated to a cultural performance by the Shizimbe drummers from the Charlotteville Police Youth Club. And before they perform for us, let me take the opportunity to to recognize, well, I see he's gone now, was Secretary, and Secretary Terence Baines, with responsibility for community development, and the Deputy Chief Secretary, Dr. Faith B. Israel. Thank you for joining us here this afternoon. So I present to you the Shizimbe drummers.
Them gal from Charlotteville, see them dancing down the way. See them dancing down the way. See them dancing down the way. Them gal from Charlotteville, dancey oh, dancey oh, dancing. Dancey oh, dancey oh, dancing. See them dancing down the way. Them gal from
very much the Shizimbe drummers from the Charlotteville Police Youth Club. What a wonderful performance. So moving along with the preparation day looming, we are now going to invite to bring some remarks to us Assemblyman Natisha Charles Pantin, who is the secretary with specific responsibility for the environment, to bring some remarks. Mrs. Charles Pantin.
Thank you, Mr. Limford Beckles. I often wonder how someone could listen to drumming and not move a leg. I was looking at everyone in the crowd and wondering how some of you could do that. And I had to restrain myself while I was sitting there. Good afternoon, everyone, once again. Let me first say, all protocols observed. I'm happy to be here at what we all can agree is a very important event. Today's launch of the innovative water and wastewater management solutions in Charlotteville signals the advent of sustainable development in water management systems in this community. Water, being a critical resource, is vital to the survival of all living things on Earth. Water, the single most important natural resource, is important to our health and sanitation and the needs of the environment in which we live. With the fast development occurring around us, the adoption of new technologies for treating drinking water and the recovery and treatment of wastewater are essential to arrest the threat to our water resources. Water harvesting and reuse, conservation and treatment hold equal value to us all, and in this case, the residents and visitors to the Charlotteville area and its environs. This program utilizes new technologies for use in water management and addresses the pervading and long-standing water issues in this community. Tobago is among 18 countries in the wider Caribbean region to benefit from this project, and I'm happy that Charlotteville was selected for implementation. This village is known to be stricken by poor water supply and accessibility in certain areas, as well as inadequate wastewater management, which is detrimental to the environment. Wastewater water in our natural systems can be a hazard to human health and degrade natural habitats. As stewards of the environment, we welcome the implementation of innovative wastewater management to reduce the negative impact on our environment through pollution. Through water harvesting and treatment systems, we will reduce pollutants in our waterways and secure an increased and sustainable supply of water for personal, agricultural, and commercial use. The grey water from our sinks, laundry, and showers through new technologies can be disinfected and filtered for use in agricultural systems. Even in tough times like these, in the height of the dry season, farmers will have the access to alternative sources of water through these new systems. Farmers invariably suffer considerable loss in seasons of drought as there is simply little or no water available to sustain their operations. High-quality potable water can be harvested, treated, and distributed to every household in this community, and that is remarkable, to say the least. The relief to householders, small and large business owners, farmers, fishermen, and visitors will be owed to this. Ladies and gentlemen, as a representative of the Tobago House of Assembly, we are happy to collaborate on such a project, one with such meaningful and widespread benefits to the community. Congratulations are in order to the designers of this monumental project, which promises both relief and project to our island, and wish it all success. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Secretary Pantin. I guess time didn't permit, but if it did, I'm sure that she would have indicated the very many number of ways in which the Tobago House of Assembly and the division in particular would have been supporting initiatives of this kind across Tobago. And she would have probably also mentioned the undying commitment that the division has to supporting sustainable initiatives throughout the island, which is essentially part of the core part of the mandate of the division. So thank you very much again for your support of initiatives like these. Next, I'm going to invite to bring some brief remarks to us my good friend, Mrs. Sherlan Solomon, the Deputy Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Public Utilities. Just Hello, hello. Everyone could hear me?
The Honorable Fali Augustine, Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly and Area in his absence, Mr. Linford Beckles, MCs, implementers, partners, Charlotteville community members, and everyone who would have been involved in the planning and execution of this critical and timely project to its official launch. But before I proceed, I must convey Minister Gonzalez's apologies for his unavoidable absence. I will be speaking on his behalf. Like the rest of the world, Trinidad and Tobago is moving towards a more sustainable future, built primarily on the foundational principles of water conservation and integrated approach to water resources management. In fact, our National Development Strategy, Vision 2030, speaks directly to these important drivers of sustainable development when it states that our primary themes moving forward as a nation is placing the environment at the center of our nation's social and economic development. Over the past 5 years, our government has formulated and revised several environmental policies which seek to improve the framework for integrated water resource management in Trinidad and Tobago, including the 2022 Integrated Water Resource Management Policy that was officially launched by the Honorable Minister of Public Utilities yesterday at our Water Laws Conference, the 2018 Revised National Environment Policy, the 2019 Water Pollution Rules, and the Waste Management Rules 2021. It is against this background that Trinidad and Tobago's participation in the GEF Crew Plus project is relevant and well anchored. Not only does it reinforce our government's commitment to Vision 2030, Theme 5, but it also shows our accelerated progress towards the regional and international standards of integrated water resource management. Participation in Crew Plus, the second iteration of Crew, has been long anticipated since our previous participation in Crew during 2011 to 2017. Through Minister Gonzalez's commitment and championship, Cabinet approved our participation in Crew Plus in October 2022. To date, Trinidad and Tobago water and wastewater challenges through the following components. Component 1, institutional, policy, legislative, and regulatory reforms for integrated water and wastewater management, known as IWWM. Component 2, sustainable and tailor-made financing of and rural IWWM. And component 3, provision of innovative, small-scale, local, rural, peri-urban, and community-based solutions for IWWM. And component 4, knowledge management and advocacy on the importance of IWWM to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. To assist in the realization of some of these goals, the Project Coordination Group has graciously allocated US $440,000 in grant funding to Trinidad and Tobago's projects, of which the majority is allocated, and I'm taking this slowly, to this Charlotteville initiative. I'm not hearing anybody saying anything. Yes. Yes. With this funding, develop a standard for wastewater reuse in Trinidad and Tobago and begin the development of a water information management system for water-related data and information to inform national decision-making. The Wastewater Reuse Standard, TTS 664-2022 Wastewater Reuse, Agricultural and other application requirements was successfully developed and approved in December 2022. Following the development of this standard, MPU collaborated with the Agricultural Society of Trinidad and Tobago and hosted 6 capacity building sessions with over 160 stakeholders who expressed an interest in using wastewater in their agricultural practice. Additionally, the execution team has developed the first prototype of the Water Information Management System. It would be remiss of me not to mention the local stakeholders that have collaborated with the ministry to execute the project thus far. We would like to recognize the involvement of the Tobago House of Assembly, the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries, the Ministry of Health, the Water and Sewerage Authority and its Water Resources Agency, the Institute of Marine Affairs, the Environmental Management Authority, the EMA, the Laboratory Services Division, and the Standardization Division of the Trinidad and Tobago Bureau of Standards, the Faculty of Food and Agriculture, the University of the West Indies, the National Agricultural Marketing and Development Corporation, Trinidad Tourism Limited, the Agricultural Society of Trinidad and Tobago, and Blue Waters Products Limited, representing Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturers Association. Trinidad and Tobago will benefit greatly from our continued collaboration, particularly in the areas of rural water supply and wastewater treatment, the protection of the marine environment, and the development of relevant information systems. Crew Plus is therefore essential to the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago's thrust towards sustainably managing our water resources. For its true impact to be realized, however, we must all do our part and encourage others to do theirs when the opportunity presents itself. I would like to thank the Global Environment Facility, the Inter-American Development Bank, the United Nations Environment Program, the Environmental Research Institute Charlotteville, and all other partners for their support as we continue to develop the water sector and build capacity that will enable us to face the challenges and opportunities of this century. Sorry. I thank you all for your time and attention and offer my best wishes for the success of this project. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Solomon. You know, it is not very often that Tobago gets the majority of any share of anything in this country, right? And Sherlan used to be a work colleague of mine and so on, but I knew that when she left us to go to Trinidad, that there was a divine purpose for her going there. And we see that purpose coming to the fore, right? My hope is that in the not too distant future, she'll probably be permanent secretary in the Ministry of Finance, right? So we might find ourselves in a significantly better position. So thank you, Sherlan, and by extension, I want to thank the ministry and Minister Gonzalez for the support of this particular program. And of course, your ministry would have supported the previous incarnations of the program, and we are very, very happy with the outcomes and the resources that we received from your ministry. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to invite the Chief Secretary. He's going to make the final speech of the evening, after which all eats and drinks will be on Alyosha, right? So it is my pleasure to invite the Honorable Farley Augustine, Chief Secretary of Tobago, and representative for this electoral district to bring some remarks to us.
Thank you very much. You may have your seats. And yes, if you see me looking like Stevie Wonder today, because one of the eyes decided to be swollen today, but nonetheless, with the piece of eye remaining, I want to look you into the eyes and speak to you this afternoon. Allow me to recognize the Deputy Chief Secretary, Dr. Faith B. Israel, Secretary for Food Security, and of course, with responsibility for environment and sustainable development, Secretary Natisha Charles Pantin. Also recognize Secretary Terence Baines, who is present, Deputy Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Public Utilities, Mrs. Solomon. Allow me to also acknowledge Aloysia, Director and CEO of ERIC, Ms. Francis, the Project Coordinator, Mr. Cottrell Perry, I think I see you take over from Mr. Brown. So you are now the elder designate for the village. Of course, Dr. Mahibir from the UNDP, thank you all very much. I will try not to be long, but that's a promise a politician should never make when it comes to giving speeches. But I wish to start by commending Eric on this achievement. It seemed like it was a long time ago, but it was just in 2019 when I met with the CEO right here in a small office in the back, and we discussed this project. In fact, at that time, I had one employee who had some skill sets that they could use, and I said to him, by all means, take the employee, use him for as long as you want. He doesn't have to come to my work. Let him come and see how best we could get the research done. Because Charlotteville has had a water crisis for as long as I know Charlotteville. And I'm happy that we are at a place where we are looking at it from two fronts: wastewater management and also the idea of having a consistent supply of water. And in order for that to happen, it means that we have to have the kind of conservation work that is necessary. And every villager must take responsibility for ensuring that we have enough water to go around. When we looked at the data, based on the study that was completed by 2021, we look at the data, at least 28 to 29% of residents here were saying that they were receiving water between 1 and 3 times per month. Per month, not per week. About 28% of the village. At least between 1 and 3 times per month. But I could tell you, because not so long ago, I used to be up on the hills up so. And I could tell you that up on the hills up so, I don't know if they could tell the last time pipe-borne water, that is, ran through their taps, as opposed to what they collect from rainwater or from other sources, maybe from the springs and so on the hillside. But when it comes to access to pipe-borne water in this area, it has been a challenge. And while it's only 28, between 1 to 3 times per month, we have some others who will receive, the majority receiving between 1 and 3 times per week, which may not sound so bad, but which requires of the villager to have some kind of storage capacity. The reality is what we have coming through our pipes are insufficient for our needs today. That's the reality. In fact, while this study was going on, we looked everywhere. We looked at the current dam. In fact, Elder Perry was there with us on that morning with WASA. When, as we say in Tobago, we fappishly took the trek up to where the dam is, and they promised us that this new project will result in a lot more water for the community. The contract started. We don't know if the contract ever ended, but we know we did not get the water we needed. We looked at some wells that were dug somewhere out in Hermitage there, but of course those were challenged because in some instances the salinity level was high. We looked at what's happening up at the housing scheme. We looked at the fact that there was a well dug opened by former President, His Excellency A.N.R. Robinson. And then, of course, floods came and that well got covered over completely. So never used, commissioned. Big fan of human rights, it's also a basic human responsibility. Because while you have a right to have access to water, you have a responsibility to protect our aquifers, to ensure that your runoff is safely handled, and to ensure we protect what we have going on in our beautiful bay there. Everything is interrelated. And if we are not careful, the cruise ships that we enjoy, the visitors that we earn from, that visit our community, those will dry up, just as the water became scarce, if we don't manage the resources well. And that's why wastewater management must be an integral component of what we're doing today. Traditionally, we build a house, we dig a cesspit, and we don't pay attention to where the runoff going. It might run in a neighbor yard, and you don't even paying attention, and then you will call, and you will quarrel, and you will beg Deputy Chief Secretary Dr. Faith to send health, hoping that health could come and I don't know, shut down the neighbor's home. But the health really is powerless because the laws are archaic concerning that sort of scenario. And then you have those, the water from the roof line running, no sprouting, no, the farmers. You have a responsibility. Are you using pesticides in an irresponsible manner? Is your farming practice still out of touch with today's reality of field? What are you doing? Because at the end of the day, the kind of water resources we have ultimately depends on you. And I do believe that Tobago has way more rainfall than many other territories, to the point where we should be able to supply our water needs. There are some territories in the Caribbean region that don't have any real streams or rivers running. And that's because their territory is limestone in nature, so that as a geological feature, they don't have rivers. They don't have the kinds of rainfall that we enjoy. Go to Bermuda, where everyone has to do rainfall harvesting and have white roofs so that they can have the rain water collected cleanly and be processed and used. Every household. So you are more blessed than you realize. And sometimes we take our blessings for granted, and destroy the very blessing that we have. So we have a responsibility. I want to take this opportunity to thank UNDP for partnering with us. In fact, starting today and into next week, I actually cleared a lot of my schedule because we have a lot of projects with UNDP. And you may not realize it because you're not in the boardroom when UNDP comes to sit and to talk with secretaries. But I met with UNDP sometime early last year when the country representative came to Tobago and made a courtesy call. And I laid some demands at his feet. And I'm happy that over the next couple of days, we will be executing those projects that we discussed. And I just want to briefly share with you some of them. Because today is a landmark, but there is more. On Monday, we should be doing a presentation on a regional project to treat with sargassum in Trinidad and Tobago. And you may not be aware, and Charlotteville, you are so fortunate that you're not on the eastern coast like my sweetheart Speyside. But this year, it's predicted to be the worst year with sargassum. As we speak, about 5,000 miles of sargassum is on its way to the Florida coastline. This year is expected to be the absolute worst. I am praying for the best because I see where the budget going to treat with the sargassum. Because nobody wants to live with the stench. Nobody wants to live with the fact that we have dead marine species caught up in the seaweed on the beach and it's not being cleared fast enough. So we do that on Monday. Also on Monday, we launch the Strengthening Community Flood Early Warning Systems. So out at Cooks River in Scarborough, we should be installing some early flood warning to prevent Scarborough from flooding in the future. At least we will know when it's going to flood and be able to take the necessary steps. On Tuesday, UNDP is on hand to hand over solar installation at Speyside High School. Later that day, they will be officially handing over blue flag certification to some tourist boats, some of the reef boats down in the Store Bay area. On Wednesday, as my luck will have it, I meet with the new president of BPTT. Formally, that is, and first time in Tobago, I met with him in Trinidad. The point is, we are doing all of this because what Tobago has today, we have to find a way to sustain it. I won't be here forever. I am talking both as Chief Sec, both as area rep, and also as a human being. Life has a sort of finite timeline on it. But I want to know that the young children we see here today have an opportunity to enjoy Charlotteville and enjoy it and Tobago the way I enjoyed it. We have already lost some things. And those of you who are older, you know that you have already lost some things. And that there are some things you enjoy that my generation never saw, that my generation never experienced. In fact, I was talking to an elder in the village. I'm not sure if he's older than you, Mr. Perry, but the elder was telling me that at one point where the bandstand is in the center there was actually the hub of the village, the hub of the beach was the fishing depot right there. And I can't imagine for the life of me that the beach and fishing activities coming all the way up in the center of the village there. I just can't even imagine it. Right? And now I understand why ever so often the beach and the sand wants to take the roadway, because it's its original place. But I want to know that the young ones who are here can enjoy Charlotteville the way we have enjoyed it, at least today. And that's what sustainable development is about. I want to say to the village, do not be afraid of it. Sustainable development does not mean that we can't develop. It does not mean that we have to stay living in straw houses and houses of sticks. As a matter of fact, I am a firm believer that any kind of build development that is required, that there is a safe environmental way to do it. And I'll give you a classic example. I was just in Jamaica, and I took time, as I have done before, to visit Port Royal. And in Port Royal, there was a massive earthquake and tsunami during colonial times, and it sank that part of the city. In fact, that's where the original township was, before it's now on the other side of Kingston. So they have lots of reefs and history in the waters, and they're working on getting it to be a World Heritage Site and all of those lovely stuff. And they developed recently, as recent as over the last 5 years, a cruise ship complex in the area. And immediately one would think, if you're doing a cruise ship complex, you have to put down piles, you might have to destroy some of the reefs, get rid of some of the artifacts in the water in order to have proper berthing facilities. And I went there and I see they have a jetty long so. And the jetty folding up like a roti, right up into the shoreline and extending when the cruise ship comes. Why? Because they're using a floating jetty system. The reason why I'm raising that example with you is so that you can appreciate that one does not have to trade development for the environment. Both can actually work in harmony with each other. The key is to have an appreciation for what you have, what are the environmental considerations. Once you have that, then you design your bill to suit the environmental considerations, and you will be able to get an outcome that we all will be happy for. And allow me to end by making this pledge to you. And I don't like the word promise. I don't think any politician likes the word promise. But I made this pledge to you that we are going to find a way to empower the environmentalists on the island. And I want you to understand, earlier today, I think it was the moderator pointing out, Mr. Beckers pointed out, that you can't come to Charlotteville and do anything in Charlotteville and Charlotteville people and agree. I could tell you, me and them mouth does meet plenty times. Right? They want to be a part of the conversation. Even if they agree with you, they want to be a part of the conversation. They want to feel as though they were able to lift a hand or a finger to execute this thing. If you come in and do it by yourself, you'll end up doing it by yourself. They won't come. And the fact that they are all here today, and we have a FET sounding crew, the water crew, the Charlotteville water crew, is a testament that there have been collaboration with this environmental agency. The drumming group you heard, you know where they started? The first time when they were starting, and they started as a project where they were training the boys, it was right inside here in a small room. Before they got their own facilities over by the police station. Right here they started. So clearly it is an example of how Charlotteville people want to be treated and that they want to be a part of the conversation. But I must dare say that Tobagonians also feel that way. Tobagonians feel as though they must be a part of any conversation on their development, and they must lead their development. A vast majority of public projects on the island, and I'm not talking at present, I'm talking projects already completed, all happen without any kind of consideration for anything named the environment. Across the board. They just happened. They were built and it just happened. And I am of the view, and I don't want the EMA to take this the wrong way, but I am of the view, strong view, that we have to have an autonomous arrangement when it comes to having environmentalists in the space manage our projects. Because we also are working with a thing called time. And I feel as though if I create some system, some structure, and there once was, I don't want to go into that. We had a conversation about a framework that was built out, and we had lovely people like the CEO of ERIC that was a part of it, but it did not go very far. But I am of the firm view that we have to have systems in place locally, set apart from EMA, as in Tobago managing its environment, who will sit down, and when the THA wants to do a project, is it this group of Tobagonians and Tobago-minded, and by the way, you are Tobagonian now, right? That you all are the ones that sit down and say, okay, Farley, you want to do this project? No problem. If you want to do this project, this is how we have to do it. And that way, we can get the project done in a timely manner, but we can get it done in an environmentally sensitive manner as well. And that's the biggest reason why I am going to be pushing for an autonomous environmental arrangement for Tobago, so that the Tobago environmentalists, that you are the ones leading the conversation. Because I feel like if you are leading the conversation, you will have more heart into it. You will be more considerate about it. I could tell you in this space, we have buildings owned by the THA, operated by the THA, not approved by AMA. AMA said, oh, build it, and they don't build and we're using it. But I'm saying the way to fix that is for us to have an autonomous arrangement that the THA is saying, this is the body that's going to do this monitoring and evaluation for us. It's about democratizing environmental work on the island. And we will be having those conversations with the environmentalists over the coming week. We have a motion on the order paper that speaks to it. That motion will require some tweaking, but we have one that speaks to it, but we want you to be a part of that conversation. On behalf of the Executive Council, I wish to also give the commitment that the framework that has been built out for man and the biosphere and the management of the man and the biosphere, I am 100% in support of it. I am 100% in support of a framework that isn't government heavy and government led, because I have an appreciation for the fact that I might be here today, but somebody else who does not mean well might be here tomorrow. And therefore, the systems we put in place must not be to cater for who is here today, but must be to cater for a system that can police itself and work regardless of who sits in the chair I sit in. I want to thank Eric for being diligent in this project, starting in 2019. We are now in 2023, and you did not give up on the project. You did the research. You waited diligently. I know that they were back and forth with WASA at times as to how we should do it. Some felt we should just take the money, buy a set of pipes, lay the pipes, and then water will come. From our national experience, the laying of pipes doesn't always lead to the provision of water. So I'm happy we did not go that way. I'm happy to hear about the tanks that will be available. The fact that we're looking at new systems for our toilets so that they can flush as usual but use less water. Our shower heads, the cleaning of the tanks, the septic tanks as well, rainwater harvesting, the constant testing and monitoring of the water sources around the village. Because I know many people go to the springs on the hillside and just put their bottle and drink and swear by Almighty God that is the best water on the planet. Some of them whisper it's the best water. I ain't so sure about that. But we will keep testing them to ensure that it is indeed safe and the best water for you to drink. And we look forward to the day when every household in Charlotteville can have a consistent supply of water, while at the same time protecting the environment around us. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the afternoon.
Right. Thank you very much, Chief Secretary, for your remarks. One of the things that we have to note is that I took note that the Chief Secretary is very familiar with all things Charlotteville. He's familiar with the geology. He's familiar with the ecology, the flora and the fauna and so on, particularly at the higher elevations. Right? But I also take note of the support that he has given to this particular project and the kind of the quality of the advocacy. And of course, that is no doubt because he's committed to the constituency and getting the best for the constituency. But I'm also sure that he's in a unique position, probably more unique than any other secretary, in that he is the electoral representative of his wife. So he has to listen to the cries of his constituency. Surely, and his family-in-laws and so on, and of course, the loudest proponent would be his wife. He cannot escape, eh? So thank you again very much, Honorable Fale Augustine, for your advocacy and for your support of this particular initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of the formal part of the proceedings. We want to thank you very much for being with us here. And to sort of package that quite nicely in a real Charlotteville kind of way, we are going to invite Ms. Malika Moore to do the vote of thanks.
All protocols observed. A special good afternoon to one and all. It gives me an immense pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks on behalf of the Environmental Research Institute, Charlotteville. Today, we have assembled at the GEF Crew Plus Water and Wastewater Management launch event for one reason. It will help us in some way, whether it is by allowing us to store water within our homes, ensuring we have drinking water, or reducing pollutants into the environment, resulting in a healthier ecosystem as a whole. I fully endorse this project and think it will greatly improve the water supply, wastewater management, and infrastructure in my hometown of Charlotteville. Please permit me to express our gratitude to all who extended, to all who have contributed to this project. A heartfelt thank you to the Honorable Fale Augustine, Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, Assemblyman Natisha Charles Panton, Secretary of the Division of Food Security, Natural Resources, the Environment, and Sustainable Development, and all other members of the Tobago House of Assembly for being supportive of this community project. I would also like to thank Mrs. Sherilyn Solomon, Deputy Secretary of the Ministry of Public Utilities, Dr. Shada Mahabir, National Coordinator for the UNDP Small Grants Program, Mr. Brian Williams, who is not here, the head of Tobago Operations, Water and Sewerage Authority, and all other organizations for their contributions to this project. Thank you also to Mr. Cottrell Perry, Elder of Charlotteville, for your wonderful remarks. My sincere appreciation is given to all stakeholders, without whose assistance the success of this project won't be possible. The Global Environmental Facility, the Interdevelopment Bank, the United Nations Environment Program, the German Society of International Cooperation, the Organization of American States, the Ministry of Public Utilities, the Tobago House of Assembly, the Environmental Management Authority, and the Water and Sewerage Authority. I would also like to thank the Charlotteville Police Youth Club for their cultural performance. It was really a great time with you. Thank you. Additionally, I would like to extend thank you to all the media personnel for the coverage of this event. Thank you also to the Charlotteville Water Crew, who serves as the project's ear and mouth. Finally, I would like to thank our most valued guests, you, the people of Charlotteville. I trust you had a good time at this event and look forward to your engagement in the coming months. thanks to everyone who helps make the project or this afternoon a success.
Thank you very much, Ms. Moore. And I know you were asking if the people of Charlotteville, if the people of Charlotteville had a good time and so on. Well, I'm sure that they did, but I'm sure that they're going to have a better time in a few minutes when we start to eat and drink. All right? So this is the end of it, and so on. Ladies and gentlemen, some refreshment would be served. Where, Alicia? Just to the left to my left, right? I think that there's a cafe there, and so on. But just before all of us exit, let me invite the Charlotteville Water crew to come to the front, and you'll be engaged here with the Chief Secretary for a while. So thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. Have a very good evening, and enjoy your weekend. Everybody, right?